salah satu orang yang kini telah melakukan pembayaran melalui ponsel, melakukan transfer uang melalui aplikasi, maka Anda adalah salah satu dari jutaan konsumen industri besar bernilai puluhan triliun rupiah bernama Fintech. Teknologi finansial atau yang sering dikenal dengan istilah Fintech adalah hasil kolaborasi antara teknologi dengan keuangan yang tentunya dapat mempermudah kita dalam melakukan beragam aktivitas finansial. Mulai dari melakukan pembayaran kebutuhan sehari-hari, mendapatkan pinjaman, berinvestasi di beragam instrumen, hingga memberikan modal bagi masyarakat. Salah satu hal yang menjadi suntikan amunisi bagi Fintech adalah semakin banyaknya pengguna layanan internet di Indonesia yang mencapai lebih dari 171 juta orang. Hadirnya Fintech ternyata dapat menolong 92 juta jiwa masyarakat Indonesia yang sama sekali belum tersentuh layanan finansial seperti perbankan. Hasilnya ada lebih dari 74 triliun rupiah penyaluran pinjaman yang terjadi melalui Fintech.
Hello everyone. We are from Syndicate will present scenario planning in Fintech industry, PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology, EasyCash. We are consist of 6 members, Alfred Kelambanua, Rangga Bayu Harda Pertama, Yunika Andiono, Doni Saputra, Fitri Habibah Mahmuda, William Ernalatan Suparno. What is scenario planning? There are two definitions of scenario planning. The first, scenario planning is an alternative way of dealing with uncertainty that encapsulates in decision analysis. The second, scenario planning is a process that simulates imaginative, creative thinking to better prepare an organization for the future. So, there are two keywords here, uncertainty and creative thinking. In a simple way, scenario planning is how we think creative with uncertainty in the future. Averagely, several multinational companies have already used scenario planning as company strategy in the future. The purpose of scenario planning is give us a view on what can happen in the future. It draws a circle around multiple possibilities and think about whether you are prepared to face the range of future that might unfold. It also helps you think about how you might be a catalyst for moving the world a little bit in the direction you want to go. To do scenario planning, there are 10 steps to be followed. The first, we have to define who is the user. It could be an organization, companies, or institutions. The second, try to find what is the key focal issue in organization in the future. Usually, the issue is a not significant upcoming decision or strategic uncertainty that has important long-range consequences for the fortune of the organization. After doing some business environment analysis, we have to define driving forces which come from key stakeholder, customer, competitor, etc. The major driving forces are social dynamic, economic, political affairs, and technology. Critical uncertainties. From the critical driving force, we have to choose what is critical uncertainties based on our analysis. In the fifth step, each critical uncertainty is reduced in a single uncertainty into matrix as initial framework for the scenario. Then we continue to create scenario, where scenario are the different features, the result from the interaction of the critical and selected uncertainties. They are plausible alternative hypotheses about how the world might unfold, specially designed to highlight risks and opportunities facing the organization. Then, in the seventh step, each scenario is then fleshed out and woven into a narrative or story. After creating narratives, we return to the key focal issue. Place the organization with each of the scenario and explore the implication of each alternative feature. In the last step, before we use it, we have to find indicators that highlighted likely emergency of one scenario or another. Then the last one, use it. In this case, we will discuss more about scenario planning in one of fintech industry, EasyCash. EasyCash, a peer-to-peer lending platform licensed and supervised by OJK, Otoritas Jasa Keuangan. EasyCash bridges the lenders and borrowers through online platform. EasyCash operates under Mito Hong Kong Limited, that is one of shareholder of PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology. Under EasyCash, Fintopia Indonesia was established in 2017. As one of valuable company, EasyCash have vision, mission and value. Vision to be a leading global digital financial platform. Mission empowering financial institutions with technology, making user a credit-enhanced lifestyle with AI. Company value be efficient and effective, pursue excellence, be open, act prudently and open.
Okay, now we will talk about PESEL analysis. PESEL analysis is divided into 6 subjects. There is political, economic, social, technology, legal, and environment. The first one is political. For EasyCash company, government policies are very influential. For example, in August 2022, the online loan rate is limited to maximum 0.4% per day by the OJK, as is stated in OJK Regulation number 10, 2022. This policy is very influential for the company considering the maximum interest limit previously was 0.8% per day. This policy was taken by the government considering that many people are in debt because of the high interest rates on loans. Although most of bad loans come from online loans and that is illegal peer-to-peer lending, and the new regulation apply to all peer-to-peer lending fintech companies. Next, the economic. From the economic point of view, it can be said that online loan companies have a significant contribution to the economic cycle in Indonesia. For example, in 2020, there are 91 million people in Indonesia who have not been touched by banking services, but they have been reached by peer-to-peer lending industry. This is in line with what was conveyed by Mr. President Joko Widodo that there are still 23 million WMKM actors who have not received access to financing from financial institutions such as bank and non-bank because they have not met the requirement. Therefore, this peer-to-peer lending fintech EasyCash still has a very large market in Indonesia. Next, the social. It's undeniable that many people still abuse peer-to-peer lending, including EasyCash. This fintech can be very useful for people who need capital to do business, but in the reality, they use online loan money to pay off other debt, fulfill their lifestyle and consumptive behavior. This is one of the negative impact of online loan, where many people report incidents and force debt collectors, etc. The next is technology. Based on data from the Ministry of Communication or Menkominfo, as 2021, there are around 100 million active smartphone users in Indonesia. With such a large number, Indonesia will become the country with the 4th largest active smartphone user in the world after China, India, and America. EasyCash, which is one of the largest online loan application in Supreme Indonesia, where people can borrow and lend money in the same time, is very easy, it's very safe. So there's no need to doubt about the EasyCash is very stable application. Yeah, with so many people using EasyCash services, almost 2.6 million people, and support by the sophistication and of its application technology, it's very possible in the coming year that EasyCash can develop into a cryptofication bank, which is the next big thing in the fintech industry. Next is legal. From a legal perspective, EasyCash is a legal loan application lend money because EasyCash has been licensed by the OJK since October 16, 2020. EasyCash itself always make clear interest information to all borrower and all debtor by making agreement that must be read and signed online first before processing the transaction. So legally, EasyCash is a very legal company and doesn't violate government regulation, but instead support the government by promoting economic turnover. And the last thing is environment. For the environment sector, EasyCash will not be affected and have a direct impact on environmental condition, where EasyCash is a fintech technology whose environment is actually online. So how the environment condition in Indonesia will not greatly affect the condition of this company. However, it may be in the future, EasyCash may have a positive impact on the environment because more and more agribusiness UMKM are borrowing money from EasyCash. Thank you.
So I'm Fitri. I will explore with you about the driving force and the critical uncertainty of this scenario planning. So during the research of this scenario planning, we found that the driving force can be divided into three categories. The first one is the contextual environment, which is the driving force that cannot be controlled between the company because it's driven by the external parties or the third parties. For example, like political issue, and then financial regulation like from OJK, market segmentation, global economic crisis definitely cannot be controlled, and then the financial literacy, it is increasing or decreasing, and then Sharia movement and digital transformation. The second one is the transactional environment, which is the driving force that can be found during the transaction between the company and the customer, like loan rate competition, customer behavior, purchasing power, and the default rate. And then the last one is the user or organization, which is the company's goal and investment in technology. So after we know all the driving force, we're gonna want to know about the critical uncertainty of this driving force. So we exercise the uncertainty of outcome and the impact to the business performance of each the driving force, it is high or low, to know about the critical uncertainty. After we exercise, we found that two biggest critical uncertainty is the first one is the default rate, and then the second one is the market segmentation. So here's the analogy for the default rate. So if the default rate are coming, we don't know when is the default rate gonna coming into the company. We don't know when exactly the customer is going to be default, for example, and cannot pay the debt or the loan itself. So the uncertainty of the outcome is very high for the default rate, and then it's very impactful to the business performance because if the default rate is very high, it means the company is losing so much money to pay the default rate of the default loan of the customer. It's same like the market segmentation. For the company like EasyCash, they focusing in the segmented market. In this case, is the lower and the middle market segmentation. So if the customer is changing, so for example, they increase in the financial literacy and then they move to another segment. So it is very uncertainty during this global economic situation and during this uncertainty situation. So it is also very impactful because if it is massive, it can be very impactful to the business performance. The company can losing so much customer in this case. So those are the critical uncertainty. The next step will be presented by Mas Doni. Over to you, Mas Doni.
Hello everyone, my name is Doni Saputra and I'm going to present the stage 3 of the scenario planning stages. This stage consists of two steps. The first one is selecting the scenario framework and the second one, the creation of the narratives. I will explain about matrix 2x2 with 4 different quadrants from the two most critical uncertainties as Fitria mentioned earlier in the stage 2 from the driving forces. By defining the two most critical uncertainties resulting in 4 scenarios. As we see here, each uncertainties, which is default rate and market segmentation, representing scenario condition in the future. The 4 quadrant consists of business as usual, wealth management, e-commerce, and creating bank digital. If we go back to key focal issue, how EasyCash business growth and business sustainability can keep up with Indonesian financial condition on 2035. We see these 4 scenarios that might happen in the future. Quadrant A, strong P2P lending position. As we see on the P2P lending has dominated the landscape of fintech in Indonesia. At this moment, P2P lending has been primarily focused on Java Island that leave huge opportunity growth in the province of outside Java, including opportunity for EasyCash. Quadrant B, the future of wealth management. EasyCash could enable wealth managers to improve their service, giving rise to entirely new sets of skills, which is wealth tech that driven by artificial intelligence and machine learning. Quadrant C, cooperate with e-commerce. EasyCash could cooperate with e-commerce to utilize their machine learning from the customer's consumption to create personalized loan, which provides speed and targeted loan application process. Quadrant D, which is digital bank. These scenarios for EasyCash by creating for or partnering with digital bank that could within EasyCash range and segmentation in terms of credit distribution strategy. This condition could creating ecosystem that giving more sustainable business and certainty of cash flow for EasyCash.
Hello everyone, next I will present the 4th stage of our scenario planning stages, which is the option consideration. Okay, let's start. Option A, to stick with the company's business as usual process, is derived by low default rate and low market segmentation. It will result in implications such as limited market share, even though it will strengthen EasyCash as P2P company, and also maintain the loan growth rate for the current portfolio. Options that should be taken including expanding the current market share through new customer base and create new products so we are able to attract new customer and keep the existing one too. Option B, to switch the direction of the company toward wealth management, is derived by low default rate and high market segmentation, and the implication is the company will be able to grab opportunity from the higher market segmentation, but this also comes with higher maintenance fee. The company's business will also be expanded to consultancy role, which might highlight the company's experience in the investment advisory industry. Therefore, few changes that should be done by the company is re-evaluating their business model as the business change, and also with the business scale up, the development of suitable and strong framework should be done to monitor the higher market segmentation. Option C is to cooperate with e-commerce. It is derived by the high default rate and low market segmentation. The implications start from lower default rate as e-commerce customers are more targeted, and EasyCash could set default probability as one of criteria. This also marks company's strategy shift to aggressive loan offering strategy. So instead of waiting borrower to apply the loan, we seek whoever needs the loan. Taking lower interest income compared to current portfolio should also be expected, but it will be set off with the lower default probability. There's also inexperience to create the product, which might arouse a problem as we need to understand the e-commerce world. With this, we believe the suitable strategy to support the option is we need to reassess current interest policy to suit the new market, and track and monitor the e-commerce machine learning to ensure the rules are exactly as what we define, as we don't want e-commerce to overloan to customer that could be defined as at risk. To accommodate this, we should create a department to focus on the e-commerce loan product, hence the effectiveness of this cooperation could be ensured. We should also avoid complicated and high arrangement to avoid cost burden to our side without any visible return from the cooperation. Option D is to embark in digital business journey either through acquisition or through creating a digital bank. This condition is derived by the high default rate and high market segmentation. This will bring its pros and cons and resulted in implications such as stabilize the default rate as it is compiled with higher return portfolio with lower risk. However, lower income generation from current borrower portfolio should be expected as lower risk means lower return. But actually, it is a common knowledge that lower risk investment will generate lower return, which might as well considered as one of strong point in this option. Furthermore, there will be increase in higher income portfolio, but as EasyCash are still inexperienced in handling this, higher maintenance fee is expected. For this option, we should identify cost and benefit to create or acquisition digital bank, which could provide necessary or whole system to be able to run the environment. Therefore, leveraging all options to maintain costs is a must, as efficiency is playing a key role. Furthermore, we should also reassess current interest policy to suit the new business model, establish risk committee to fit digital banking business to suit the new customer portfolio, banking is a different genre of risk and compliance detail that is needed. Last but not least, we should develop exit plan in case the project doesn't turn out as we expected to, since the capital nor the money used to do this option won't be insignificant for the company.
Hi everyone, I am Ranga and I will present you the last stage of scenario planning, which is integration of all of the scenario by developing the early warning signals for each of the scenario. As what has been explained by my colleague, we have defined key stakeholders and identified key focal issues that the business will be facing in 2035. Having known the business issues, we identified critical uncertainties and key driving forces using the CTO framework or the contextual, transactional, and organizational framework. And then, from that critical uncertainties, we developed 4 scenarios with each narratives, implications, and also options. After we develop all of these scenarios, we need to have early warning signals for each of the scenarios. These early warning signals are key turning points for stakeholders that will determine the likelihood and also predict potential failure for each scenario. As per explained before, we have identified 4 scenarios based on market segmentation and also the default rate. In scenario A, we see that the peer-to-peer business are going well, and we will continue to develop this kind of business model. The early indicators of this scenario will happen are if the business are growing in the last 10 years in a steady growth. However, the potential failure of this scenario are if there are low growth rate in the new peer-to-peer loan, and also there are a global or local or Indonesia's economic crisis that will result in the double-digit default rate. For scenario B, the potential failure warning are should there are a high default rate, a low trust from our customer, and also we cannot keep up with the high tier brand image that will result to the trust of the customer. We are also seeing that should the wealth management business models are highly regulated in Indonesia, it will become a failure early warnings for this scenario. In contrary, the indicator that this scenario will happen are if Indonesia are having a steady economic growth and becoming a developed country, and then Indonesia's people have a high financial literacy. This will help boost EasyCash chance in expanding itself into the wealth management business. For scenario C, where EasyCash is being narrated to cooperate with the e-commerce, the failure early warning signals can be sensed if the peer-to-peer business are still going strong, and should there are return of the habit of the people in doing transaction in traditional market rather than e-commerce. There are also warnings to avoid this scenario if the EasyCash cannot find a high-profile partnership for doing business in e-commerce. However, the push warnings indicators for these scenarios are if there are high adaptations of the e-commerce in rural area, and then there are suddenly available of a high-profile e-commerce partner that want to join with the EasyCash. And should there are high sales growth of both premium and also low-tier product in the e-commerce. For the last scenario, where the EasyCash will completely transform itself into the digital bank, the failure early warning signals are if the peer-to-peer business are still going strong and the EasyCash still have the low brand image, so that they don't have the sufficient crowdfunding for making it transform into the digital bank. Another potential warnings are should the digital bank becoming highly regulated in Indonesia. However, the push signals for this scenario are should there are a high growth of economic in Indonesia, and then there are a high growth of the financial literacy, which should translate into the low growth in the peer-to-peer lending, and should there are a high default rate in the peer-to-peer lending. And should the peer-to-peer lending becoming a highly regulated business in Indonesia, this should make the push factor for the EasyCash to convert itself from the peer-to-peer lenders into the digital bank. I hope you all enjoy our presentation regarding scenario planning in fintech business. Thank you from Syndicate 2.